brace yourself, because we're going to go hard in this video about getting rich. What's going on, people? Glenn and Cameron here again with how to make a living without a job. Earlier this year, I made a statement that really got a lot of people's panties in a wad. I said, if you're not trying to get rich, you're a fucking fool. And people were like, it's not, life is not about getting rich, it's helping. Question, if you're broke, and I'm going to really expand on the concept of broke, how the fuck can you help anybody? Seriously. Part of this discussion is to expand your intellect and to expand your perspective. When I say rich, I'm not talking about money only. It's part of it, but it's not the totality. I feel that I am rich because I control my time. Most of the people that I know do not control their time except on the weekends. And sometimes not even then. Can't have a conversation in the middle of the day because they're at work and they have to work. They can't take off for more than the prescribed lunch hour because they're at work. I mean, there are people, you have a 30-minute lunch, unless the restaurant's literally next door. You really don't have time to go out because you could burn 15 minutes of your lunch hour getting there, waiting in line. So when I say rich, let me give you the parameters of rich. Number one, this is the number one source of wealth for me, your health. If you're healthy, you have a tremendous amount of wealth. And there are going to be people who take their health for granted. I'm going to say this. You've never been really sick, because once you really get sick, and I'm not talking about a bad cold or the pneumonia, I'm talking about shit that had your ass laid up for months. You will appreciate your health like nothing else. Another thing about being wealthy, time. Having the ability to control your time. That is, to me, the second source of wealth. Because, give you an example. I'm doing this video right now, I'm also running errands. I'm making money and I'm saving money at the same time because I can control my time. I don't have to really deal with a lot of traffic because this time of the day, most people who have a job are at work, and if they're not at work with their job, they're broke, so they're not out here spending money. So I'm out with the soccer moms and the elderly retired people. So you got your health, you have time. Then the next source of wealth is knowledge. If you have your health, you have time, and you understand how important knowledge is, then that other form of wealth that most people immediately default to, which is money, you can get that if you have those other three things. You can always get money if you're healthy, you have time, and you understand the application, the gathering and the application of knowledge. You can always get money. But most people chase money for the sake of chasing money with little regard to the construct of how money is gained. You can gain money when you sleep. You can gain money when you're on vacation. If you understand, based on knowledge, how income is constructed. Once you understand how income is constructed, you will get a different mindset. And a lot of this fear of working for yourself is going to go away because it's a plan, it's a system, and it's a process. Now, another reason, let's talk about helping people. Okay, it's 2013. I've been on YouTube since 2009. There are a lot of people that I helped for free. And I'm going to say this. There's a new wave of New Jack YouTubers. Let's call them New Jack YouTubers. And you would think they invented YouTube. I could say with no gall or even overstatement that I've helped more people than you guys have because you ain't been around long enough. But once again, this takes the application of knowledge, the ability of critical thinking, and actually knowing what you're talking about. Because give you a little idea about knowledge. A lot of people do not understand how YouTube works. They think they'll put a video up there and the world is going to find it. Your biggest problem on YouTube, the internet, is discoverability. That's your biggest problem. If you have a crappy video, but you have a mechanism to be discovered, you will do so much better than someone who has an awesome video that no one knows about. And there are plenty of videos like that on YouTube. Videos are awesome. Person took a great deal of time and care to make the video, and hardly no views because they don't understand how YouTube works. And this is another tip for some of you YouTubers, because I see it a lot. People get pissed off at YouTube, or they get tired of the trolls and they shut down their channels and they delete their videos. Bad move. The longer your video is up, the older it is, and if it continues to get views, it goes higher up into the YouTube ecosystem. So there was a person who had a tremendous following, and he just deleted tons of videos because people were, plagiarizing this stuff. And I tried to tell him, don't do it, don't do it, don't do it. You're going to cost yourself, but he did it anyway, and his channel ranking dropped dramatically. He's built it back up, but having your videos out for a long period of time is a very important asset. I only deleted the videos that I had to delete. They were just horrible. But there were some that I thought I would delete. I left them alone, and I looked at one. Wasn't that great, but that sucker has 6,000 views. And next year it'll have more views. And next year it'll have more views. And the reason I'm bringing this into the conversation of getting rich is information is one of the greatest sources of wealth there is. Notice, when I gave you the chain of wealth, there was 3 things that actually came before money. Most people understand the concept of getting rich as having a lot of money. Those who have a lot of money understand the concept of being rich as having control of your time and building stuff and controlling your environment. That's true wealth. When you control your environment, when you control your time, when essentially you have your own universe that you are Lord and Savior, you're the king of your world, literally. That's wealth. It's not being a billionaire. There's billionaires who are trapped. There are billionaires on paper that one little hiccup in the stock market, and then, they're still fantastically wealthy by any average standards. But that's not the game that I'm trying to teach you to play. I'm trying to teach you to play this game. Get yourself healthy. Get yourself to a point where you can control your time. Then acquire as much knowledge about whatever you want to acquire it about. Stuff your head full of knowledge. Find out what's going on in the world. Read, write, ponder. And you can see some things that other people will miss because they're not paying attention to what's going on in the world. Because, give you an example. As you come on to YouTube and understand, I've heard people say all kinds of crazy stuff about YouTube, bash YouTube. I'm not ever going to do that. YouTube, hands down, is one of the best things to ever happen to me. I don't care how many changes they make. I don't care what rules they implement. I am a YouTube diehard fool. Because when you look at what they give you for free, and actually, I get paid for this. I get paid for this. It's just, when I think about that, it makes my mind boggle, because there are people like YouTube and the ads and all this other stuff, and all you have to do is sit down and watch. But that's part of entitlement mentality. That's a whole nother video. But the whole deal is, this is a form of wealth. A YouTube channel, and some people are like, YouTube channel, it's just a little rinky-dinky thing. Because you get to another level of wealth. You get to have your own media channel. When you have a YouTube channel, people talk about, it's the media. You have your own voice. You have your own media channel. And no point in history could the average person go in their bedroom, put up some video, and have it go literally around the world in a matter of hours, days, or years. At no time in history has this been possible before YouTube. When you think about how incredible that is, you will never bash YouTube again. When you really think about what you get from YouTube for just the contribution of your time. I mean, I'll tell you, if you look on this little thing here, you'll see like 670 videos. I actually have 850 videos. It's just a bunch of them are private. That is a tremendous amount of storage. And a lot of my videos are between 1.5 and the minimum, the smaller videos are half a gig. And the larger videos, there's one I know that's about 6 gigs. Tremendous, if you had to pay to store that, we're talking about $800-900 a month if I had to pay to store that data, in the cloud. Or actually, I don't even know, because I've got a 3 terabyte external hard drive that I just dump stuff on. I don't think I can get everything on there, because it's 3 terabytes and I've got almost a terabyte full. So I don't know if I could actually get that stuff on there. I don't know. I don't think I can. Just to show you how much benefit is available to you if you choose to use it. See, this is where the other part of knowledge comes in. And when I say health, time, and knowledge, there is not one that is more important than the other. All three are on an equal footing. All three are equally important. Because say you have time and you have knowledge, but your health's jacked. That compromises your mobility, your moods, how you feel. I mean, you can still do okay, you can still have a life, but to me, they're all three of equal importance. So, to the knowledge tip, if you knew what YouTube was and what it could do, a lot of people wouldn't do the stupid shit that they do on YouTube. Because, just a few things. YouTube got me 3 reality television show consulting opportunities. YouTube got me my first real week of book sales. YouTube got me a ton of really new and interesting friends around the freaking world. I mean, there are people I talk to who are in the Netherlands, Germany, London, all kinds of things. I mean, I've got folks in the Hustler Mindset Project who are in other countries. That wouldn't have happened without YouTube. So if you're sitting there going like, I'm pissed off at YouTube, or I don't want to do any videos, understand, if you really really understand what YouTube really gives you, it would change your perspective. It would totally change your perspective. That's one of the reasons that I have so many videos, because I understand what's going on. And I know that based on some of the things I said, the work that I do today is how I get paid tomorrow. So I'm working my ass off hard today so I can get paid hard tomorrow. Now, with getting wealth, making money, getting those cookies and that cake, let's really move away from just a fiscal standpoint. Because once again, those other 3, health, knowledge, time, is what will get you money. If you don't have those things, you don't have control of those things, how much money you make will be severely limited. It will be severely limited, because most people operate on a paradigm of, I work X amount of hours and I get a check for X amount of hours. That's where most people fall. When you used to go to a paradigm of, how much value can I create, it's a different ball game. I have a book I wrote in a week. It's under one of my pen names. Does not make a fantastic amount of money. Took me a week of my time to write. I'm going to peg maybe 20 hours into it. Start to finish, everything, 20 hours. And that book routinely makes 30 to 50 bucks a month. Okay? I wrote that book 13 months ago. So that book's made me $1,000 for 20 hours of work so far. If that book only makes me $20 a month for the next 10 years, I am thrilled. I am doing cartwheels, because each month that book sells, I get paid more and more and more and more per hour. That's what happens when you understand the concept of value. When you work And this is where a lot of people are. It's one of the biggest journeys to go from that I work for time, I'm trading time for dollars, to I am trading value for dollars. Because when you trade values for dollars, it's a much longer relationship. Time to dollars, once you do that hour, once you get paid, it's a wrap. That's why I love being a creative person, because I can create something this year and get paid for it for the next 10 years. I don't know of anything else out there that you can do that legally. There's a few things, maybe stocks and other stuff, but I'm just talking about something that you create where you are with the tools that you have. Now, let's talk about another form of getting rich: creativity. We live in times that are staggering for those who take the time to educate themselves. There are people going, oh, it's bad. These are great times. To use that old phrase, these are the best of times and these are the worst of times. For me, these are the best of times. And this is the reason why. Instead of being roadkill by knowledge and change, I am exploiting knowledge and change. This is why at some point in your life, and I don't care if you're 40, I don't care if you're 50, I don't care if you're 60, I don't care if you're 70, at some point you can start to say, hey, I'm going to exploit knowledge. There is no age limit where you cannot exploit knowledge. You will begin to start to wake up and smile and look forward to each day. I'm going to tell you something. I don't have an alarm clock in my bedroom. And I'm not saying that to brag or anything, because I haven't had an alarm clock in my bedroom since I was like working at morning shift at Northside. I had to be at work at 5. But I typically wake up every day when I wake up. And I have an internal clock. If I need to wake up like 5:36, I could just say I'm going to wake up at 5:36. And either I'll wake up a few minutes before or I'll wake up a few minutes after, but I'll wake up at the appropriate time. I don't live by an alarm clock, and I haven't for maybe 10 years. See, this is the thing I'm trying to get through to you. When you control your time, you control all of it. And let's talk about family. Say you have family. It's even more important for you to get that type of wealth, because I had a consulting client, and he worked, his wife made most of the money. And she was one of those women that if a man is in my house, he needs to be working. He needs to have a job. And I sat down with him, and he made more money hustling and quitting his job, because the breakdown is he made about 38 grand a year, take off the taxes. He's bringing home 28, 25. Of that 28 and 25, 12 G's went to daycare for their 2 kids. 12 G's. So that left $12,000. And I just did the math. She was a smart woman. And I was like, if he makes $15,000 from home, you have a net of $3,000 plus income, and the sanctity that your children are in the presence of a parent. And actually, dude is probably going to make like 25 G's this year, and he's at home with the kiddos. So that's that whole thing about knowledge and wealth. You got to figure out what is wealth to you. Now, with the creativity, because I jumped around with that, let's go back to the creativity. When I say being a creative person, we all are creative people. Everyone in here, when they were a kid, would draw, color, tell stories, had big imaginations. And as you went through this stifling school system, many of you had it shut off. It's still there. It was just shut off or diffused, but it's still there. Now, me, since I was an artist and I just found solace in drawing and doodling and stuff, it never really got shut off in me and some other artistic friends, because it was just always there. But everyone, I believe, to be extremely creative, it's just a matter of tapping into it again. Now, with that, and when I say creative, I'm not talking about the next Mona Lisa. I'm not talking about something hanging in the Louvre. I'm talking about you're in your closet, you have a situation, and the clothes you have don't hang right on the hanger. So you go out and you actually make some hangers. That's creative. That's being creative, and that's problem solving. That's problem solving. And people have done that, and they've created multi-million-dollar businesses for making a better hanger. That's creativity. You could do that. So get your health together, get your time together, get your knowledge together, get your creativity together, and you can be tremendously wealthy in those things which are important and wonderful to have on their own, can get you the money. I said a long time ago, I don't do things for money, because I finally understood what makes me work and what makes me tick. And just chasing money to chase money is not going to do it. One of the reasons I switched up the Hustler Mindset Project is I noticed that someone who had bought one of my books was asking a question on YouTube about a topic that was covered in the book, which lets me know that people weren't reading the books, or maybe they didn't understand it, and that was a problem. Shit kept me up. So that's one of the reasons the Hustler Mindset Project came to be, and that's why there's so much a heavy emphasis on podcasts, audio books, because sometimes you don't get it the first time, and it's real challenging to read a print book 5 or 6 times. You can do it. It's challenging, and it's very time consuming. But if you can listen to it 5 or 10 times while, going to work, or going to storage auctions, or just running errands, or, you're listing on eBay, and it'll get in. That's how I got Earl Nightingale's Lead to Fill. I mean, it took me about 10 good listenings from start to finish that it really sunk in. And I started to do these things almost on autopilot. So that's one of the reasons that the audiobooks are going to be a heavy mainstay in whatever I do. But for you, when you hear me say, if you're not getting rich, you're fucking stupid, refer to this video. Because we live in a society of lowbrow intellect. When people say relationship, the first thing that folks default to is a romantic relationship. Right now, in this video, you and I have a relationship. It's not romantic in nature. When you go to the bank and you talk to the teller, that is a relationship. That's an interaction. It's a little short-term, relationship, but it's a relationship. And a relationship into this or that. But stop defaulting to the lowbrow thing, because one thing, and this is just another tip, stop truncating your text. Shortening your text makes you stupid. It dumbs you down. Teaches you short thinking. I know it sounds crazy. I don't truncate. I don't go letter U for you. I actually take the time to spell out Y-O-U, because I care about keeping this thing going. Because if you are consistently looking for ways to not build your brain, not to challenge yourself, not to struggle, you're going to lose certain abilities, or they're going to be diminished. And in this new economy, this new disruptive world, you're going to need all of the brain cells you have clicking hard as they can. You're going to need them. So, and that's another thing about knowledge. When you get knowledge, you understand. Like right now, I'm about to pick up some alkaline water. Did a little research, and it hydrates you better than regular water. Just once again, just reading, but this goes back: health, time, knowledge. That's true wealth. Those are the 3 pillars to true wealth. Everyone wants to go to money, because the man or the woman that really figures that out and uses those things wisely will have more money than the average person. Now let's talk about helping people. How many people in this room, wherever you are, how many people have you helped today? Because I've had this conversation before. There's a group of people on this earth who are truly helpful folks. They volunteer for Humanity for Habitat. They go do charity work. They're candy stripers in hospitals, and they've been doing this stuff since a long time, because that's just who they are. Here on YouTube, people throw that stuff out when, if you read between the lines, I want someone to help me because I don't have what I want, and I don't want to do the work to figure it out. That's what that means, because think about it. And I'm about to really piss some people off, so brace yourself. If somebody is on your level, you're all on the same level, how in the hell can that person who's on your level help you get to the next level? I'm just waiting. Tell me, how does that happen? If everyone is on the same level, because, you know, someone put up a video recently that their video had their business had hit a ceiling, and I was like laughing my ass off. When your business hits a ceiling, that tells me a few things. Number one, you don't have any mastermind groups. Number two, you do not hang out with people, not one level above you, but 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 levels above you. See, as long as you are with this crowd and everyone's on the same level and everyone's boys and everyone's understands, you're not going to rise. You're not going to rise. I hang out with folks who are 6, 7, 8, 9 times above my level so I can look up and kind of get the clues. But if everyone is right here, there's nowhere to look up. You look down, that's depressing, and you look straight ahead, you see what you already have. That doesn't help you. So understand, and this is another part about knowledge. There are some people who are smarter than you. There are some people whose opinions are better than yours. And there are some people who are right whether you like it or not. I've had to eat a lot of crow because some of the things that I believe to be true were wrong. And I was like, damn, I was wrong. So you're just going to have that conversation with yourself. Because as long as you allow your hate and emotions to dictate your actions, you are literally growing this long metaphorical dick and rolling it past your shoulder and shoving it up in your own ass with vigor. Just, And you're like, why does my ass hurt? Why does my ass hurt? Why does my ass hurt? Because you're fucking yourself because you're stupid. And there's nothing wrong with being stupid, but there's plenty wrong with wanting to stay stupid. And let me ask you this. If you're so smart, why hasn't your life improved? I'm not talking to the people whose lives are great. I'm talking to the people who are complainers, who for some reason have a problem with successful people. If you're so smart, why isn't your life better? Why aren't you living the life that you want? Why don't you have the people, the things, the lifestyle that you want? Why don't you have that if you're so smart? Because the evidence would suggest that you're not. Evidence would say you're not even close to being as smart as you think you are, because your life is a reflection of your knowledge base. Your life is a reflection of how you apply knowledge. And this is the good news. If you change your mind, you change your life. So when you hear me, and I'm going to talk about wealth and getting rich, because those are buzzwords, because people don't hear, hey, here's a video on how to be happy. Whew, wake me up when we get to the money. That's where people are. Very basic, and you have to speak to people where they are versus where you want them to be. So in hopes of communicating with them a bigger and larger ideal. And that's one of the things, because going forward, I'm going to talk about a lot of stuff. I'm going to talk about the law of intent. I'm going to talk about the law of action. There's a whole bunch of things that help you be a better person, make more money, and enjoy life. Because, you know, you have so many options available to you, but you don't know about them because you refuse to educate yourself. You refuse to pick up a book. You know, actually, I was going to do a new channel for this stuff, but I'm going to do it on this one. Like, just simple stuff. Because when I put up a video 2 years ago, how to clean out a laptop, because I had this Toshiba laptop, and that sucker would get hot. And I did some research, and I spent literally 6 hours researching this freaking problem, because I was doing something, and the laptop would get really hot, and it would like pop. I hear a click, and that sucker would shut off, and I couldn't do anything with it until it cooled off. Not really great for productivity. That's one of the reasons I moved to Mac products, because I was tired of that crap happening. Video rendering is extremely aggressive on your computer. Well, I put that video up because it took me literally 6 to 7 hours of research to figure out exactly how to solve the problem. And it wasn't in the main forum. There was this one post that was buried in another forum, and it said, I had the same problem, and I took a dry vac, and I cleaned it out, and it stopped heating up. And I found that, and I did a video on it, and that video the other day, I just looked, has 100,000 views. To let you know how many people had that same problem. 100,000 people found the video. So there'll be more videos on that, because once again, like what I said about being creative, it doesn't have to be like, you know, Michelangelo creative. It could be creative enough to solve a problem, and that can make you very financially rich.